All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Vin from New York, and there's Kat over there in LA. And from New York to LA, we want to welcome you all back to the next edition. Thank you so much for coming.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I'm glad to be here tonight.
Today, we are talking about The Matrix, the original, 1999. And this is a Kat pick. So, Kat, tell me why you picked The Matrix.
I picked The Matrix because it was revolutionary when it first came out. I mean, it was done so well, and it was like the first movie that had the 3D freeze motion viewing of characters. So it was an action movie, and
What is that?
excuse
What
me.
is that? The 3D freeze? What is that? The 3D freeze motion? What is that?
Well, what it's like is that the character will go into a type of move, right? Say kicking or punching,
Pose or something?
right? And it looks like they stop and they do a pose, and then they come at it
Okay.
from a new angle without ever cutting from the actual scene. So instead of them showing a fight scene and then having to cut to different angles through editing, what they do is they freeze the motion, rotate the camera, and then continue the motion on. Which
Okay,
was
got
something
it.
that was
Is that
pretty
kind of
cool.
like when Carrie Ann Moss's character Trinity, when she jumps up in the air and then they freeze her in the air and then they spin around her,
Yes.
that type of thing?
That's exactly
Okay,
what
gotcha.
we're talking about, and
Gotcha.
but say it was revolutionary at the time. How they done that, and everybody was talking about the particular use of cinematography during that scene.
Okay.
And they had many scenes in there just like that.
Right.
The other thing that was really good about this movie is the special effects and the sound. It's one of those things that people in the AV world and at the time, anytime you walked into like Best Buy or Circuit City or any of the AV companies that were alive at that time, they would show the classic Matrix fight scene for the proof of their surround sound audio.
Gotcha. They would use it as one of the catch movies to get your attention or whatever and draw you
Right.
in. Is that where you saw it? I mean, is that where you first, or did you know it was out in the theater? How did that work out for you?
No, I went to go see it in the theater the very first day it came out. I was there in the seat watching this movie. Yeah, I mean,
Gotcha.
I got caught up into the hype of the movie.
And you loved it? How many stars out of 5?
I would
Your initial
know-
reaction when you first saw it?
My initial reaction when I first saw it, I gave it 4 out of 5.
4 to 5. Okay.
4
What
out of
was
5.
missing? What was missing?
Like some of the story, how it came together was kind of like, what, huh, what, we'll say when they were talking about Zion, right, where
Okay.
Tank and his brother were from, because they didn't have any holes in them, right, from being plugged into the Matrix. They kept
Oh.
making it there's some fictitious place that nobody else has been to except them. That it's like somewhere around the world it's hidden, and
Okay.
so in the first movie they never went to Zion. It became
Right. They just mentioned it.
They just mentioned it.
Right.
But in the second and third movies, it was a very prominent place that they were in.
Right. Right.
In the second
And
and third
Zion
movie.
was like it was an underground world where the freed human beings lived or gathered to make a stand against the machines. Is that right?
Well, it was the freed people plus people who had never been in the machine.
Newborn.
Right.
Freeborn.
Freeborn
Right.
people. It was like the
Had never
last
been attached
bastion.
to the
Yeah,
Matrix. And it was underground?
it was underground. It was toward the center of
Right.
the earth.
Right. So what you were saying was these two characters, they were talking about Zion, but you didn't really know what it was, so you were kind of lost a little bit. It didn't make, it just didn't ring. It didn't make any kind of sense.
Right. It didn't really jibe.
Right.
It didn't jibe. Like if you were looking at it from a story standpoint, yeah, it didn't jibe at all.
Okay.
And how it was supposed to work.
Okay.
But I mean, if you could overlook that and a couple of other things, It was still a good movie. It still brought you in. It was more that incident was more of a bump in the road versus anything else. They went on later to kind of explain it.
Right.
I believe, after seeing this movie that, and I would like to get feedback on this from anybody who saw the movie. After the end of this movie, I didn't think there was going to be a sequel. They didn't plan it to be a sequel. Because just the way that it ended, it was supposed to be a one shot, but it did such box office records in terms of money that this movie made that they had to do a sequel. Just be like, yeah, we're doing a sequel. And then if you look between the first one and the second one, whole plot lines do not connect. They do not connect as if they were planning on doing 3 movies together.
Okay. Gotcha. So you think that, right, it wasn't even a plan, or it might not have been a plan. Okay, that's interesting. Now, I got to give it to the Wachowski brothers. They did a great job on this film. Like you said, cinematography, music, the story was great. I still think that the concept of the Matrix, whatever, is incredible. And it could be, that the universe that we live in, possibly multiple universes, multiverse, whatever, sure, could be a computer construct. And I thought that was really cool. I like that. I loved the acting in the movie also as well. Lawrence Fishburne as Morpheus, Joe Pantoliano as Cyrus, great. The prototypical Judas, Carrie Ann Moss as Trinity, and the love interest to Keanu Reeves' character Neo. I think they all did a really good job. My one critique. Go ahead.
No, I think you're right. They all did a really good job. And the thing I thought was funny about Neo's girlfriend, I look at her now and I'm thinking she looks like she got hit with a box of rocks. But at the time in the movie, I couldn't make up my mind. I'm like, is she pretty? Is she not pretty? Is it just the leather? Or is it not the leather?
Whip this out.
Oh man, box of rocks, huh?
I couldn't tell, man.
Well, hey, you know what? They had no makeup in oh no, you're saying she looked good in the movie.
Well, I couldn't make up my mind if she looked good in the movie or not. I was kind of like, well, she kind of does, but then she doesn't, and then she kind of does, and then she doesn't. I'm just like, well, if it's the end of the world, I'm taking anything. I'm not going to be
right. Well, and now she's going to watch this video, and she's going to be like, So anyway, I think Carrie Ann Moss is great. I think she's a great actress.
I'll give it to her. She's even in Iron. She's in Iron Fist right now on Netflix.
Yeah. I dig her style. The one critique I was going to make, or that I will make, that I was going to say was Keanu Reeves, his character. Now, I like Keanu Reeves for the most part, but I like him for certain roles. I think certain roles he is great in. This role, it kind of, his style, whatever, it took me out of the movie a little bit. But that's really the only critique I have with this movie. I did not know that they weren't planning on making sequels. I did see the sequels, but we're sticking to this movie. We'll talk about this. But I thought it was great. Great concept. Really good concept.
But wasn't this movie
and I love
like
when they
his
come out
comeback
with
movie?
something new. Well, comeback from what?
Because the only thing he did up to this point was really Bill and Ted, when he was kind of
No. He did, were you saying 1999? So no, before. No, he did Speed, which was Sandra Bullock's breakout movie with
that was bad.
With Jeff Daniels and Dennis Hopper, which actually was not a bad movie. You might not have liked it. Maybe it wouldn't be one of our picks per se. We'd have to talk about that. But it did do well in the box office. So I wouldn't say it was like one of those, fail movies.
I didn't say it was a fail movie.
Yeah. So there was that.
It wasn't a fail movie, but it was just. The concept of driving around Hollywood, in a bus doing, 100 miles an hour really doesn't work. Anybody who lives in Southern California, you're not going anywhere that fast. You know, I mean, unless it's like 2 o'clock at night, or 2 a.m. You might go that fast. But other than that, it's like.
Right. A little far fetched, but no, he had been in a bunch of different things. So I never thought that he actually took a dive or stepped away from acting. But he also did The Devil's Advocate. That's the one I was going to say.
That was good. That was good.
It was 1997, so that was 2 years before The Matrix. And he was great in that. I thought he did.
I did. I actually liked that. I liked The Devil's Advocate. I'm gonna give that to you.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head if he did anything between those two, but that's a 2-year break between those two, so it didn't really drop. And then of course, he's gone on and he's done a bunch of other things. He stepped away for a while. I think he has his own band and is involved with music and stuff. But for this particular role, I just thought that his style, whatever, took away a little bit. But hey, it didn't hurt the box office one bit, and it didn't keep them from doing sequels. So it did make it.
I think one of the other things that that made this take off is because he was actually in his own fight scenes. They didn't use any stunt doubles. They taught all those people all those moves, and they choreographed the fight scenes so well. Because, most of the time, if you'll notice, and this is what I hate about American-made action movies, right? All the fight scenes, you see that the character moving, and they zoom in and show a punch on the face, and they'll zoom in and show a kick to the chest. Where this movie, they were actually choreographed move by move, that you would have to do the whole fight scene in one take. That's why, overseas kung fu movies are always so much better, is because they don't do those wussy edits. It's like, oh, I can't get hurt, I can't break a sweat, I'm just the actor.
Like Jackie Chan, he does everything on his own, man. He's so broken up, his body and everything, but he does everything. Incredible stuff, man.
That's dedication. It makes the movies that much. The movies that much better. It's just like you're a real life action guy. You get off.
Now,
on
let me
the
ask you
adrenaline.
something. For the audience that has not seen this movie or is wondering what it's about, I'll just tell you real quick what I thought it was, and then you can run on yours. So The Matrix itself is a computer-generated program that is running off of the electric energy of human beings. Human beings are basically enslaved. Their bodies are stored in some type of cocoon and some type of material that allows them to live, but they're basically like a battery, like Morpheus says. They're a battery. The human body is a battery to run this world of machines. Yeah. And the Matrix is a computer program that the human beings that are enslaved, the computer program runs through their brain or their mind. They're like in a perpetual dream, a dream.
It's a virtual reality.
Right, but they're not alive. They're not doing anything. They're unconscious, right?
No, they're conscious inside the Matrix. That's what it is. That's why they say take the blue pill or the red pill. You're conscious. You're there, but you don't know about the outside world. You don't know anything other than the Matrix.
Right, but these cocoons or whatever that the human bodies are stored in, they're not conscious inside of those cocoons. They're unconscious. They're like in a sleep state, like a dream state, correct?
Well, no, I would figure they would have to be conscious. They just don't know that they're in this cocoon. I mean, it's not like you're walking around sleep.
So their eyes are open and everything, and they're
I think we're talking about two different things when you're talking about consciousness. It's like they never knew they were in a cocoon, right? Because it's something that you don't know, you don't realize it. It's like we're walking around today. That's part of the craziness of the Matrix. It's just like you're walking around today. It's like, how are you going to know? You don't know.
Gotcha.
We could be in a computer simulation.
Took over. Yep. The machines took over, used human beings. Now the machines, this is obviously a futuristic world, or is it a different world, or alternate reality?
I think it's futuristic. It's like along the lines of Terminator, where
the machines took over.
Right, where we had machines that were assisting us, then they took over, and then basically stuck us back in the dark ages, and wiped all human memory from the books, and they kept us in a perpetual state of 1989 to where there were no new no new inventions after that. You know, people just kind of went about their daily lives. You know, kind of stuck in this perpetual, you know, rhythm.
Gotcha. Okay, so the machines enslave these human beings. They're stuck in these cocoons. The machines are using their bodies, their electrical energy to feed to power the machines. Now, the story is a few human beings, I guess, at one time broke free of this cocoon that they were in, this jail, and started to free other human beings. And we start this movie where the main character, Neo, played by Keanu Reeves, is trying to be freed from this cocoon and woken up and brought to this real world where these people are awake, which is Zion, because one of the characters, Morpheus, played by Lawrence Fishburne, somehow thinks that he's the one person who can free them all.
Yes. You know, he is basically the Messiah. You know, he's the one who will deliver them, you know, from Zion back to the surface of the world. So you have to realize that what?
Why is he the one? Why does Morpheus think that he is the one that can free them all?
Well, from the standpoint of this is just that his mind works faster, right? So
Okay.
when you're inside the Matrix, right? You realize that it's a computer program, and they did make a lot of sense out of how this works. Is that, you know,
Right.
since it's a simulation, you can manipulate the simulation. You know, as
Right.
long as you believe it can happen, it can happen.
Gotcha.
Like within
It's almost
reason.
like if you know you're dreaming, and then you could do stuff in your dreams, like fly or this or that or whatever.
Right.
So they have the ability. These human beings found a way that they can go into the Matrix, which is a computer program. Not physically, but with their minds, they can go inside the Matrix
Right.
and then do certain things, and then they can also come out of the Matrix and be walking, talking, you know, within this futuristic world.
Right, and because
and-
they're part computer, or they have computer stuff they can add, they can turn themselves into genius level IQs by, you know, like learning the encyclopedia in 2 minutes, you know, or learning
Like
how to do
a program.
yeah, by downloading a program into your skull, you know.
Right into their brain. Yeah, exactly. So that's the premise of this movie, that these people are trying to free themselves from these cocoon-like jailed pods that they're stuck in, and then I guess fight these machines to I guess have a world of humans again. So that's where we are in this movie. And the other thing I was going to say was I didn't understand why karate was so important to learn to, I guess, fight other people within the Matrix if you can do anything like fly or stop bullets. Why would you have to learn karate
Well,
if you can stop bullets?
but see, that's the whole thing. Not everybody can stop bullets, and he didn't even know he could stop bullets. That's the whole thing. Part of it has to be belief. Part of it has to be, you know, ability. Once you learn karate, you start, you know, feeling more positive about yourself and your abilities. You know what I'm saying? It's just like reinforcing what you know. Because like when they do the jump programs, like everybody fails because you know what? You're still afraid. It's not like the reality around you feels unreal. It's like right now, if I told you could stop bullets, you know, you'd be like, fuck, I can't stop any bullets, you know?
Right,
But if
right.
we were in the Matrix, literally, you'd have to watch me stop a bullet before you'd be like,
Okay.
well, maybe I can stop a bullet, you know?
Gotcha. So it was like a learning process. You had to learn what you could do. Like you can't just be in a dream and say, "Oh, I can fly and fly." You have to learn how to fly and believe that you can fly. And,
Right.
and it's like a process.
Right, you know, you have to build up your confidence level that you can do things, you know, because, you know, physics
Right.
is still physics. You don't know how you do it. So
Right.
you got to take your mind out of it, saying that, you know, this is not real. You know, this
Gotcha.
is not
So
real.
maybe
It's
learning
whatever.
the karate was a way that he could fight and, you know, physically before learning all the mind stuff. He still had to survive and hand-to-hand combat.
Right. Well, because hand-to-hand combat is something physically that you're doing. You know, being
Right.
like, oh, I'm going to, you know, just erase you from, you know, existence. Like, all right, well,
Right.
that's a little different than punching them in the face. You know,
Right.
It's
The
so.
only other critique I I have to say, which I just remembered, was that with the guns, there's there's just too many guns, and I think a lot of movies rely on that. So I don't want to critique or bash, this particular movie. I think a lot of movies, let's just say, going from, I don't know, maybe the early 70s on, started to rely a lot on guns in movies. And sometimes you need them, and sometimes it can add an element, but sometimes it's just too much. And for me, it was, just a little much for the story. But
you know what? I'm kind of with you, but I thought that was like, just part of the element of, you're going into this, sort of unreality, which is the virtual reality is that, yeah, freaking guns, give me lots and lots of guns, because, the programs that are in there also have to deal with the effects of physics, and this is what this thing is doing, to where
Right.
it could overcome them also. It's like
Right.
you could stop 1, 2, 3 bullets, but you can't stop 8 because you have to focus on 8 of them. You know what I mean? So
Right,
that's
right.
kind of the thing. And
Yeah.
and just one other fact is that that came out of this red pill, blue pill, is that movies and movements have come out of the term red pill. Like, I don't know
Right.
if you knew
Yeah.
that or not.
I've heard that. Yeah, it's
know-
basically from what I understand, it's, if you take the red pill or the blue pill, it's basically saying, I want to either live in reality or live in my own fantasy world, something like that.
That's right. So if you take the blue pill, you want to stick in fantasy land, So it's like if you have $1 billion, you can stay on your mountain while people are starving and be like, I don't know what you're talking about,
Right.
Or if you take the red
Exactly.
pill, you realize that chopping down the
People are starving.
rainforest is probably a bad idea, but
Right.
so you could have a chair,
Gotcha. And you think that came directly out of this movie?
directly out of this movie of
Okay.
the concept of red pill, blue
So
pill.
it affected the culture.
It did. I mean, there's a whole men's movement behind the red pill.
Okay. What was I going to say? Oh, so with respect to the, you said you give it 4 stars. Obviously,
Four
we're
and a half
Matrix-
stars. Out
Okay,
of
4.5.
5, I got a 4.5. Yeah.
4.5. Okay, so and we said since we're doing the Matrix, it's obviously one of those movies that don't suck, and you can watch more than once.
Yes,
Right?
it does not
You-
suck.
and it
Matter of fact,
actually
I
might
might watch it
help to
after
watch
this.
Yeah, and it might help to watch it because if you can't grasp everything right away with respect to the story, if it kind of goes over your head a little bit, you watch it again and you'd be like, oh yeah, that's cool. I
Yeah,
get
it does evolve as you watch it, because like the first time you watch it, you can just be into all the action. The second time you watch it, you can develop more of the story on some of the plot twists and why this happened and why that happened,
Right.
and why it makes sense, and why it's
I
together.
definitely want to give a shout out also to Lawrence Fishburne because I liked him in a lot of other movies he did. Deep Cover. He goes back all the way. I think he was 17 when he did Apocalypse Now. I mean, he's been in a bunch of stuff, but I really liked him in this. I thought he created a new character and he nailed it. I think he did a really good job.
I think you're right.
Morpheus.
Lawrence
Yeah, Lawrence
Fishburne
Fishburne.
did
Yeah.
do a good job, of being Neo's teacher essentially.
Yeah, like he is Morpheus, like people see him on the street, oh, Morpheus, like he won't get mentioned for other characters, that people see him on the street that he's done, but they see him, they might be like, oh, Morpheus, and that's when you nailed it,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I give it to you.
Yeah. So yeah, I like The Matrix. What else? What do you think? You got anything else?
I just know that it ended up in totality, right? We're only talking about The Matrix, but it ended up being into 3 movies, 3 video games, 1 animated series, and people still talk about it to this day. I still want me a Matrix coat. I know I want one. I want a coat that looks like the Matrix.
Right. Gotcha.
I'll put it right to
the outfits.
Right,
Yeah,
I'll put it
good.
right next to my Jedi cloak. I mean, I know I'm a
Yeah.
grown ass man, but you know what? Jedi cloak, Matrix jacket. You need those things. Just
Right.
it should be part of your wardrobe, even if you
All
don't
right,
have
I'll
to
put
wear
it
it
on
once.
I'll put it on your Christmas list.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Right. All right. So anything else?
Nah, but I think that's it for us today.
All right, good. Well, listen, I want to once again thank everybody for joining us, and we're always happy to see you, and we're definitely happy to hear from you. I definitely want to give a shout out to everyone has made comments and shown their support, and we will see you all next time. This is Vin in New York, and there's Kat over there in LA, and from New York to LA, we will see you all at next edition.
Yay!